That's an Ivan Ooze looking motherfucker if you ever saw it. Just did the headless dirty then when he auto-juked it just by turning into me. I remember first seeing this encounter and thinking, wow, the classic mirror move. But, you know, little does the mimic tier know, I'm actually squishy as fuck. So I'm thinking, yeah, you're just gonna get a basic, because there's two of us. Yeah. It's funny to think that this is supposed to be one of the most powerful summons in the game, but, you know. So, you may remember me talking a little bit about Crucible Knights earlier. Yeah, a little bit reckless. I'll be honest though, at that time I was thankful that he just got rid of himself. Yeah, got down to here, and this was probably the first place that I felt like the content was a little bit too challenging for how strong I was. I hadn't really found like that was the case anywhere else. Everywhere else felt like a bit of a get good, whereas this was just like, shit, I need to kill one of these and then be able to fight the other one. But the problem is the first one isn't too bad. The second one is a nightmare. Like that twin blade is not easy to deal with. So I then sort of progressed on, just found a couple of extra easy bosses to save me in the meantime. I think this is at a point in the game where I just decided to like try and catch up again with all of the side content wherever it was available. There was a lot of side dungeons, a lot of dragons and stuff, and yeah, it was more or less just a case of just trying to figure out what else is available rather than just taking the first boss that I found. It's a good use out of the charge attacks there. The majority of the game is literally just me trying to see if I can pull off some really powerful charge attack and then just, play off the back of a real strong initiation. I mean, this guy could have hit him with anything, to be honest, and it still would have been effective, but you want to dodge that bloody scarlet shit no matter what, don't you? That's absolute ace. And this was before I had like I'd got the stuff to cleanse it as well, which I found out like much later you can get from a dungeon that I did find early but just ran away scared because I seem to remember that it was just full of rot itself, and I was just like, oh, I'll just come back to this when I can cleanse it. Well, obviously you've got to beat that dungeon to be able to cleanse it, so yeah, the game's a bit of a fucker like that. I think it's always the same in Souls games. There's always some knowledge that once you play through it once, it's all like so much of it is more straightforward. And I do wonder if that's intentional. Like I think from like to keep you almost a little bit in the dark constantly, like just purely so that your experience is it's about your ability to gather the knowledge as much as it is actually playing the game. I've always said that like Dark Souls is as much strategy as it is skill, and it's one of the reasons why I don't think I enjoy Bloodborne as much, is because Bloodborne is like very little strategy and it's just huge amounts of skill. It's not that it's a bad game, but it's just the percentages were totally different. Yeah, fuck that horseman. I'm not sure that in any further Souls games they'll ever bring the horse back. I don't feel like it was a complete waste of time. There were parts of the game where, you know, it was interesting to use the jump pads to get to certain high places early and stuff. You know, that added a unique, a unique avenue to parts of the game for exploration and such. But did they even use it much for boss fights or anything like that? I don't feel like it had that much relevance. I feel like everything in the game that we could fight on foot was better, so, you know, just had the realization that I'd still got Godric's Great Rune and I'd never cashed it in. But betrayal here. Yes, obviously, like, when I realised about like Godric's Great Rune, I'm just like, okay, so I've just been carrying it around this whole time. Never once linked it up. Can't remember which one was the first one I got. Probably Radahn's.
The stolen Hallowbrand of the exalted noble. And now, I must bid you goodbye as well. Though I ask you deliver this message to the Round Table Hold. I am Fia, deathbed companion. Hark round
I have
table.
never been so aroused.
Disturb not the death of Godwyn, the exalted. We who humbly live in death, live in waiting. To one day, welcome our Lord. What right does anyone have to object? Our Lord will rise. The Lord of the many and the meek.
Here we go, Chad Pumpkinhead. Now, when I very first encountered this guy, I remember how much of a fucking pain in the arse he was to fight. Obviously, having that really strong head, I was just like, wow, this would be a good guy to have on my team. And yeah, and then when like brought myself to the Sorcerer Village, and I'm just there like, I'm gonna have this guy bully some other sorcerers just like he bullied me. And yeah, had a bit of fun with it. It's not the most powerful summon. You're expecting him to be a decent tank, but he wasn't. I think because he wasn't like one of the specials, it kind of let him down a bit. It's a shame that. Oh god, this rat man. Yeah, I lost a lot of souls here. Like 60k was the, you know, was the pinnacle, but it's just this area trying to fight this rat. I think I must have died 5 times here or something ridiculous. This is one of those areas where it's just like, you know, if you can cheese it, you should. God, it's another 20k. Obviously not lost, but you can see how I can quickly ramp up, because sometimes you just can't even get like the exact spot where you lost them. There's no way to just bypass this and run around it. I mean, in theory, you could just run past this fucker and try and climb the ladder or whatever, but at this point it was personal. And that whole room all the way through there is just such a fucking pain in the ass. So, yeah, this is me actually trying to get used to some stuff. So, this is that dragon that just doesn't move. And I remember being like, okay, so it takes a lot of damage. I'm like, how am I going to be able to do this efficiently? And I'm like, I've got all of these area of effect spells that can hit a massive target and they do huge amounts of damage. Surely this is the way. And, you know, I was producing so much damage, but it just wasn't, like, you can see I've still barely done anything to it. And I've, you know, fully drained my mana to do this as well. like, wow, this has took so long. Surely there's a better way. But yeah, that was the best opportunity for me to do an enormous amount of damage with these really niche spells, and it just wasn't the one. I think I did eventually figure out that it's bleed. But yeah, there you go. So that was the moment. Yeah, just throw on something bleed and then yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. There's always some ridiculous, stupid gimmick boss or something. I mean, you can't even call it a boss, it's just a corpse, isn't it? But yeah. All of the theory crafting for nothing. But yeah, nearly had some use for those unique spells. It's a shame because you know, like I say, I feel like they get a little bit creative. There you go, still get one shot by those things. Yeah, you get a little bit creative with the spells available, and they're still just not as useful as the straight shooters. So at this point I'm using Night Comet because I haven't found like regular Comet, and I think Night is like supposed to be like a PvP unique Comet, so it's like more difficult to see or something, I don't know. But therefore it's like more mana intensive, or maybe it's faster, I don't know. It definitely didn't seem to be worth it pound for pound in PvE. It just drains your fucking mana bar. It doesn't do the damage you need it to. But yeah, in essence, it was just a stepping stone until I found something a bit better. I think this is pre-academy as well, so I'm basically like just doing whatever areas I can while I'm here. I found loads of dungeons over this side of Caleb, which are just like absolute savagery. And there's a few like tough bosses around here as well, but like all of the dragons are just always a joke, because once you've killed one dragon, you can kill them all. So, you know, it's just a case of cleaning things up, I guess. So yeah, this is like one of those monster fucking dungeons in Caleb. This one to navigate is an absolute bastard. Like you really had to work hard. I remember like even just doing this run, because this guy shoots you, and then immediately left around the corner, another one that shoots you. But it's when they're just like, you know, I mean the other regular mobs attack them, no problem. But when these guys pull out the swords as well, I did find that the best thing to do is to one backstab on him, and hopefully he pulls out his sword temporarily, doesn't shoot you in the back here, because that really fucks you up. But yeah, it took me ages. I mean, you don't necessarily realise right away, and it's always the case in Souls games. You've got to try and run as fucking fast as you can past everything, and then, you know, it's a bit of a boulder run like a Crash Bandicoot or something. Yeah, then the nightmare of having to deal with things around here. Finally get through. And you don't feel much better about it, to be honest. Ah yes, the true test, the rune bear. I can't remember if I'd killed one by this point, but I think this may have been the first one that I actually killed. These are the true iconic chads of the game, because I think anyone who played Elden Ring even only for a little bit has encountered these, and they are utter savagery. They are like one of the few enemies where the horse does give you kind of an advantage, but even then, like if you're not quick enough or early enough, like they can just catch you. It's ridiculous. Like fighting these was, I mean, in the early game, it's a waste of time. You get battered. Like even in the mid to late, it's like they're so tanky, so devastating. And yeah, of course, having the shout that's ranged. Classic. It's like they took all of the things that I hated about Horizon Forbidden West, and they're just like, oh yeah, yeah, no, okay, that annoys Billy. We should put that into Elden Ring. But you know, it's not too bad because they're never like plot centric or anything. So having a really tough enemy that's just like on the sidelines, that's just there as a bit of a gauge on how strong you actually are, is fine. I think it's good for the game, healthy, but yeah, not sure it's not sure I enjoy them being there for anything other than just to make the forest a scary place. I more or less added these clips in just purely to see how I played as a mage in like a PvP construct, because there's just not going to be a lot of PvP in this whole thing, which I know for some people might be a bit disappointing, but I really didn't feel the drive towards PvP in Elden Ring. It's not that I think, you know, it's badly designed. I think some of it could be a decent laugh, because there's, you know, again, there's a lot of systems, but in every other Souls game there's covenants to drive you to PvP, and that just wasn't in here, so I just didn't feel obligated to go.